Hello, this is Clarissa Walker, submitting a website review for a classroom site, a classroom website, instructor site called Logo Files Unleashed. This is Miss Rain's 12th grade English website. She created the site that I will show you in a moment on WordPress technology. Miss Tracy Rains is an honors English instructor. She also teaches Bible, and she also teaches regular English for Gatlinburg Pittman High School in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. This is the front of the site, the first page, the home page of the site. Now, the purpose of the site is to inform and provide updates to enrolled students and possibly parents. I think at 12th grade it's probably more enrolled students. Miss Rains primarily uses this site to provide downloads for coursework, actual coursework material, and Miss Rains' Twitter feed is a part of the site, which is the most current content on the site, and students' response to the course, which is essentially the rhetoric there is primarily just assessment and feedback for her, and accolades mostly. So the purpose of the site is also to do some instruction and or reinforce probably some classroom instruction, which I will get to later. I believe that she has some success. I think with regard to the downloads, they are very prominent and very easy to see. However, while they're easy to see, their organization is a little bit convoluted and scattered, which I'll talk more about in the presentation section. It may be the formatting of the way that the things are, her formatting. But the other thing that I noted with regard to, this is also a presentation note, but with regard to the home page, it's a little bit text heavy, and that's really the main criticism, or critique rather, for the whole website, is that it's pretty text heavy. So here is what I'm referring to when I say text heavy, and this is what I mean. These are the downloads. However, I think a folder or a different location that's exclusively committed to downloads would be more appropriate, or in terms of the presentation, and making the purpose easier to accomplish. A larger, more prominent images would also. That's also a presentation. But the purpose of the site, to connect with the students, provide them with course material, and the other goals that that I stated earlier are essentially met, but could be probably easier and more successful if the site were a little bit more organized in a sense. So the scope of the site is literature and content related to the course. It's she provides material on how to study a specific text, how to study To Kill a Mockingbird, how to study Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. She has links to teacher-suggested sites to help students to understand the text. She has reviewed several sites of her own on her own and has come back with links for her students. And there's multimedia support. I will just keep going and talk about that together. So literacy learning opportunities, links to background and literary analysis, links to study guides are provided. She offers a video of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, actually this transformation of Dr. Jekyll into Mr. Hyde, which I believe is this video provides implicit support for the lesson. But one of the things I really like, and I think is the strength of her teaching method that is reflected on the website, is how she anchors the lessons on literature in a concept. And she really works to provide materials and links and support for teaching students a concept as a guiding lens to delve into, which is really in support of critical analysis, delve into a particular text, and I'll show exactly what I mean by that. So when she uses, so this is the honors English section. So here we talk about this concept that she doesn't start with Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. She starts with dualism or duality. And the students have multiple opportunities when you click onto this cartoon, which I think is a whimsical way of talking about a pretty heavy and sometimes scary text. You have a lot of background on this literary analysis that uses dualism and dualities as a lens. So she has just as much on dualism and dualities as she does on Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Then there's this very cool video here that is embedded. And
welcome to CarMax, the bright side of Carbine.
Every human being has two sides to his nature, the good, the evil.
When you think of split personality.
So if it reinforces again dualism and duality, it's what I think is most value about that. And here's a Dr. Jekyll trailer, and she's using multimedia to enforce that. What I think is most important about this is that students may walk away liking Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, not liking it, forgetting it, or remembering it forever, but the lens may be applicable in other places. And so being able to teach them how to create their own lens and using the links and the content to spend as much time on that, I think is very important. And that stood out to me as one of the strengths of the site. The other opportunities for inquiry, dialogue, student participation, I believe that this is probably the weakest part of the site. Student feedback is not enough. There's very little opportunity for student feedback. Teachers celebrate it more than the students, actually. There's a lack of opportunities for students to publish or student work to be published. I understand with K through 12, there's some issues with actually showing images of students. And some, some parent permissions are needed for that and releases, but student work could be featured. There's no collection of student videos or digital narratives produced by the students. More opportunities to see students, each other's work would be great. And I'd like to point out what I mean by that. So if you go back to the main page, and I recognize that depending on the landscape, the community, the political environment, there may be a reason why she spent 2 paragraphs talking about her own awards, having won an award, and having that. It's called the Kennedy Center Stephen Sondheim Inspirational Teacher Award, and she was nominated by a previous student. And I think that's a prestigious, and she should be very, very proud of that. And I think it's good for parents to know that that's who's teaching their children. So and for political reasons, I think self-promotion is necessary. I don't think there's anything. I think it's probably not wise to move away from self-promotion in many school systems and districts. However, I wonder if it was the right place for that type of rhetoric. And because here, the actual content of the course and the student-related things are kind of buried. With regard to student voice, there's a lot of there's some weighing in here, and there's some student posts, but it's all about Mrs. Rain, and how good she does, and how good she does with the website, and that's all wonderful and necessary. It's almost like a teacher's portfolio, but I wonder if this is the right place for it. And here again, there are tweets, and it's appropriate to have like a Twitter feed, and I think that's a strength of the site. But one of the weaknesses, I think, is that there's no student voice, although social media is being used. So just as much as I can appreciate and really like the way that she approaches conceptualizing and amplifying a concept rather than a story, I think that there should be more student engagement and student voice in the site. So with regard to presentation, I've already said that it's a text-heavy homepage. Downloads should have their own section. Students, if they're looking for a download, they're going to go there, so it doesn't have to be lined across the top. The class links I will show you, because I think this is a strength of the course as well, of the course website. And the Twitter feed needs, as I said before, more prominence, but also more student involvement. So with regard to those sites, I think it's very nice that these categories are so clearly, because she's like everybody else in the K through 12 system. She's not teaching just one class. She's a teacher who has to maintain a Bible class, a CP English 1 class, an honors English class, literature, Old Testament. So if you are her honors English student, you can come here, click on the link for your class, and everything that is she keeps a running blog of all of the things that are either coming up or have already been addressed in the class. So your class has topics, and also one of the things that I think she encourages, that I think is a bonus, is that she encourages outside writing. She posts like this is a New York Times contest for student writing, so she's encouraging students to write for audiences besides herself, and she does this in many places. She's committed to having students realize that they are not to see themselves as writers for teachers. I believe that there is the value of this is a personalized. It's a personalized site. Miss Rains is a human, and you can see her personality. You can connect with her. The student commentary and the teacher award establishes her level of professionalism and establishes her ethos or credibility. And that is important when you're talking about parents and school districts. So I can appreciate that, but I just have a question about the appropriateness of the placement for that kind of rhetoric. Parents will get the impression that their child has a good teacher, a qualified teacher. And, as I mentioned before, political implications of self-promotion or something that should be taken into consideration. Didn't mean to do that. Criticisms and concerns, text heavy, needs more student work, a little bit more thought into the design, thinking section, thinking in sections and folders rather than just links. I believe that the material is in depth. Although Miss Rain teaches the classics, there's some very unconventional resources, which I thought was great. She provided students with help that will meet them where they are, no matter where they are.